Welcome back to the channel a second time. After we had this last blizzard, the power has been very intermediate at this house I'm staying at now for the time being, and the power just cut out there while I was in a stream. So that's what happened there. Now with that, let's go ahead and continue with this tear down of the engine. As you can see, some of the progress wasn't saved. I actually did have to go back and redo that with the vehicle. I did that offline so you guys didn't have to rewatch it. But let's go ahead and get started with this engine tear down, and we'll move over to the repair bench and get this completed. And before we do that, matter of fact, let's go ahead and save it. Now, I did finish lathing or resurfacing all of the brake discs. This should be the last one. And I've already separated the tires and the shocks and the springs and all that as well. Yeah, previous to the blizzard, we had power outages here and there, but they weren't as common. I did go ahead and report it to my power district. However, I hadn't heard back yet. I assume they're more concerned with the over 3,000 people that are currently out. Probably takes priority over an intermittent power outage, or power loss, I should say. Intermittent, can't think of how to say that word right now. That word, such a hard word. Intermittent. Right, so we did get that engine tore down, and now we'll go ahead and start with repairing the mechanical parts, followed by the repair of the body parts. Now with that, does look like the game audio is not coming in, so I'll go ahead and get that resolved again for you. A little bit quicker of a resolve process there. So if you've been watching my channel very long, you'll notice I have been doing a special series called Pimp This Ride, where I re-innovate vehicles to a more urban, aggressive style to them. And go ahead and put that in a series. Now, with that, we have just released episode 8. So if you haven't seen episode 8 of that series, you should be able to see it in the upper right hand corner of the screen here upon the ending of this stream. So be sure to check that out. And if you'd like to, you could always scroll through the rest of them. I got some pretty cool cars re-innovated in that list. So definitely something to check out. If you're into the Fallout game series at all, I also Twitch on stream, or I stream on Twitch every Monday and Wednesday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. You can check me out there as well. And if you'd like to support this YouTube channel, as well as the Twitch channel, you could always go ahead and send in funds utilizing that link I have in the description. Should be a link at the bottom of the description. And now let's just get back to the repairing process. I'm just gonna check something out on my phone real quick. There we go, got those repaired. Let's move over to the body parts, which we have about 2 pages of. Alright, got all those repaired. So with that, we could go ahead and put this engine back in here. But before we do so, like we've done in 1 or 2 other episodes, I just wanted to see if we could get any other engines in here. Looks like we can get a Ford Boss rear-wheel drive engine in here. That's a must. You know, whenever possible, you gotta put the Ford Boss in wagon. You know, like why wouldn't you, right? So with that, let's go ahead and find that in the list. Ford Boss rear-wheel drive, right there. There we go. Now that we got the Boss there, we can go ahead and start putting in the other parts, that being the alternator, the steering pump, camshaft, crankshaft, you know, all those fun parts. I can name them all off, but why would you? No camshaft on this, so I don't know why I said that. Look at that. Put in aftermarket pistons in it. Because why not? Allow us to handle more horsepower. Ah, did have camshaft. They're just not aligned in the engine block. They're on the, what do you call these, the engine heads. Been a while since I rebuilt this type of engine before, so. Apparently did have the Boss air intake though. And that looks like we are on another level in the game, so that's pretty cool. The sound is quite similar to the sound you hear when you get an achievement with Steam. Which reminds me, I did get an achievement in Battlefield 4 last night, which only about 9.6 people achieve in the game. And that being to complete a round of Night something or another on Wavebreaker, the map. It's a type of game style within Battlefield 4, I guess. Well, not yeah, game style, I guess you would say. So that was kind of cool. Really wasn't aiming to get that. I was actually aiming to get the, what was it called? I think it's called a challenge, where you have to get enough headshots with the assault rifle in order to unlock a, what was it? I think it's kind of like a grenade launcher, if I'm recalling correctly. But it's pretty cool. That's what I've been doing in these winter months. I'm hoping to get the gears fixed on my bike in order to get out more often in these summer, spring, and fall months. The gears only go to level 2, gears 1 through, what was it, 1 through 7? Well, it's a 21 speed, so that would make it, yeah, 7, 14, yeah, 1 through 7. And, yeah, so that would be cool. I believe it's the tension on the gear cable that's causing the difficulties. Last time I took it into the shop to get that resolved, they couldn't figure out how to make it so it was easily changeable, and I believe that's what led to the problem, which is something I initially took it to the shop for. That being one of the best bike shops in Omaha area. I don't know that it's technically Omaha, but can't really recall the name of it at this time either. It's, if you know Omaha at all, it would be right off of like 135th and L. But yeah, I'm just staying in this city for a very short period of time, and then I will be out as soon as I could find a position. Preferably a remote position in my chosen field, which would be technical support. Or IT, I should say. Technical support is field I normally work in IT, however. I am definitely capable of doing more than that, as previously stated in this channel even, within the field. This last timing chain on, get these 2 shoes. First time I've seen timing chain shoes was within a build I was doing for a sports car, kind of remake of the Dodge Charger, but it's not called that. It's called the Imperator in this game. And then I saw it again on the 370. That being the 370Z. And pretty much in every powerful sports car engine after that. Unless it was a supercar. which they're generally built like with higher, like, 12 cylinder engines. And they still have those from time to time too. So it's all about the engine design. I honestly theorize that it could just be created to handle the additional torque that would come from the engine with such a high degree of power that they would provide in those types of engines, as opposed to the other style, which may not be able to handle that as well. I will say it must be kind of a pain to get these spark plugs in here with the location they're in, and then not to mention the ignition coils. If you're working on an engine in real life, such as this one, you will notice I did increase these aftermarket ignition coils to the highest degree with some additional performance scrap parts I had left over. So I previously had like 10,000 of them. I went ahead and utilized a few of them for enhancing the value of the ignition coils, and I think I did it with the spark plugs as well, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, come on. I'm not gonna find that in electronics. Alright, let's go ahead and flip it over here. Get these parts in. Alright, so we got that put back together. Go ahead and take it off the engine stand and put it on the engine lift to put back into the vehicle. Now you can see we have a boss engine in the wagon. Be a little hot rod wagon when we get through with it. Now let's go ahead and put it up on the lift here. And get started putting those parts back in. Alright, so now we're just going to add the tires in the front and back to confirm the sizes. We'll get those added here. And looks like both of the tires are the same size. That'll be 1575 to 25. They went with the vintage. I think I'll go with the vintage too with the white wire. And what was that? That was a 1575 25. All right. 1575 25 225. Let's get 4 of those. And the rims I should already have repaired. Yep, all 4 of them were able to be repaired, so we don't need to purchase any more of those. I did get the ones with the large white wall on them. They look a lot more appealing. Alright, so let's take those down. And we'll go ahead and get started on putting the body parts back on. Alright, we got those back on. We could put these parts back into the engine bay. See, we have quite a few of that type of radiator in our storage there. Oh, gotta get another one of those. And another one of those. Another one of those. Alright, now that we got those in, we can go ahead and fill up the fluid levels. Looks like we're missing a... maybe we aren't. Let me see here. No, we are missing the module to the ABS. Okay, got the starter, got the fuel pump, the module, wires, ignition coils, battery, ECU should be good to start. Let's confirm we could start it here real quick before we take out the parts here in the interior. Yeah, starts right up. That's nice. Alright, so we'll take out the seats and the steering wheel and get new ones put in. Two. Insert wheel. Alright, so now we got all that put in. Let's go ahead and get a quick car wash again. And with that, we'll take it over to the paint shop. See if they have any other options we might be able to go with. Yeah, the green seems a little something you'd never see this car with. And let's go here. Metallic. Play with the clear coat a bit. That looks nice. I think I'm going to stick with custom on that one. And we will paint it. With that, we'll go ahead and move it over to the dyno. And get that started. Alright. So we did go ahead and start with the 337 horsepower, 5,405 RPM, and 388 foot-pounds of torque at 3,600 RPM. And we ended up with 430 horsepower at 5,410 RPM and 481 foot-pounds of torque at 3,630 RPM. For a gain in horsepower of 28%, that puts us at 93 horsepower, and a gain in torque at 25%, putting us at 94 foot-pounds of torque, for a D164 rating on the drag strip, for a wagon nonetheless. So that's kind of humorous, to be honest. This wagon could go. And with that, let's go and check this out here. Check out the condition. Looks like the body's at 96, frames at 100, parts at 100, and interiors at 100. So let's just find out why that is coming up as 96. I'm gonna start. Might be helpful if I put on a front plate. And now we got 100. Perfect. So let's take a quick picture here. And we'll get this moved back into the parking garage. Well, we got a beer right there. That'd be nice. But let's go ahead and start taking orders. Oh, got about 3 seconds left there, so we'll pick up that one real quick. And we got 20 seconds here. We'll take this. What I like to do is just take the vehicles with the least amount of time left on them and go ahead and do those instead of going by how much work needs done on them. I think the XP kind of works itself out that way. So with this one, we have the engine has no power, knocking noise from the engine bay, the suspension feels loose, suspension rattling, and general running gear control and repair. So with that, since it can start, let's run a compression test real quick and see what's going on in the engine. Depending on what the basic numbers are for the repairs. 53, yeah, that looks all okay. So that checks out, that's good, nothing serious. Let's go ahead and use the electric meter to check on the fuses, starter, alternator, stuff like that. Oh, the starter needs replaced. And let me see what year this was. Yeah, should be able to use the OBD meter on this. Go ahead and run that. Got about 2 ignition coils and an ECU needing replacement. Oh, we'll get that added to the list here. And the fuel filter is going to need replacement, as well as the turbocharger, which is really big, I might add. And the starter. Go ahead and put that in new. Oh, well, never mind. Guess we're going to have to add that to the list as well. ECU and the starter could be found under electric. Somehow the turbo got replaced with a steering wheel. Oh, there it is. Wonderful. Must have had one in our inventory. Alright, so let's go ahead and remove these clips here for the air filter in the engine. That's going to need replaced. And the bottom will need replaced as well. Oh, we have one of those. We could put in that same filter. That's up to specifications. We'll replace that top filter with one from inventory. And get that new ECU in there. That should replace the engine bay parts that we needed there. Let's go ahead and get it on a lift. I did see a outer and inner tie rod right off the bat that need replacement. Looks like an end link will need replacement as well. Gonna need a new one of those. There we go. Got all that. Let's take this shock absorber on out and we'll get that replaced along with this rear suspension arm. Spring cap also needs replaced. Spring is fine now. And so is the shock absorber cap. Well, that's all the parts I could see. See how much that resolved for us here. All we have left is the knocking noise from the engine bay. The engine has no power. So, the knocking noise wasn't a shock or strut. Let's go ahead and take this on a test pass real quick and see if it might be a bushing. Possibly. Could also be one of the clips, or excuse me, the caps within the engine bay. The cap for the bearing and or the cap for the pistons and rods. Well, let's move that over to the lift again. And we did not come back with anything for the knocking noise. Actually, we do need to replace those fuses, so that could very well causing it. Was it the fuses we were replacing, or relays? Nope, fuses and relays are fine. I guess I'm thinking of something else. They all seem to be okay. So, we'll get that lid on there. And let me check something else out here real quick. There it is. Ignition coil. And that one as well. Could be the sources of that problem. I need to add those. Like 2 of those. No, not that one. Nope, not that. It's not that. I think it might be a spark plug. Of course, it could also be a camshaft, historically. Or the header cover. Let's take a look. That's good. That's good. Let's go ahead and get it up on the left here. And we'll drain that oil real quick. I see no caps. Besides this one, possibly. Yep, that's one. That needs replacing. I don't see any others though, so we'll get that replaced real quick with a new one. Check that out. Still have one more part that could be, well, that is causing this knocking to occur. Right on the edge with that cross member. All right, well, that's a tough one. Let me check something else out here. Well, the clutch pressure plate and the crankshaft bearing are good, but that does leave out the clutch. I doubt if that's it. I mean, I really do. It's the only other thing I could think of at this point. Either the flywheel or the clutch. Yep, flywheel. Alright, so with that, we'll go ahead and put the vehicle down and get some more oil back in there. And that makes the engine has no power at 792 credits, knocking noise from the engine bay at 1,422 credits. The suspension feels loose at 51 credits, suspension rattling at 104 credits. General running gear control and repair at 190 credits, tax bonus at 2,158 credits, job bonus at 1,110 credits, total payout at 5,832 credits. So, with that, go ahead and click finish if I didn't forget a very vital part. Should be good to go now. There we go. So, this one up. We got inspect and replace filters. That's air filter, fuel filter, and oil filter. Car does not start. General running gear control and repair. Fix suspension clunks and rattles. Loud exhaust. And they want to increase the tuning of the car by 11 to 16%. So just to get started with, I could already see the exhaust manifold needs replacing. And we'll put that new one in there. And the cover. And it looks like an ignition coil. Will also need replaced. And since there's one ignition coil that's bad, I did want to check out the spark plugs already. Or also that could be another possible cause if there's an ignition coil that's bad. And ignition coil. the fuel filter, as that needs replaced as well. Should resolve some of those problems. Car should now start, it looks like. And the air filter and oil filter are going to need to replace as well. I don't have one of those, so we'll have to purchase it. With that air filter replaced, let's lift up the vehicle and replace the oil filter. Got that replaced. Now the exhaust was pretty loud, which looks like the middle muffler, so we'll get a new one put in there as well. And that should fix the loud exhaust as well as inspect and replace filters. Now we just have the general running gear control and repair and fix suspension clunks and rattles. Suspension clunks and rattles more than likely just coming from that end link there. Let me see how many. Yeah, that'll be the end link, and the running gear issues coming from that spring. At least one of them. And we're also going to need to replace the outer toe, or the inner tie rod, not the outer one, on this wheel well. Alright, let's go over here and separate that. Spring, everything else is good. Alright. That'll fix the suspension clunks and rattles, and 2 out of 3 of the running gear issues. Now, if that's 2 out of 3 of the running gear issues, and they're not showing any timing issues, let me check something else out here. The wheel hub seems alright. shifter back up. Checking the back real quick here too. Uh, oh, no need to take off those drive axles after all. Increase tuning of a car by 11 to 16%. For that, let's see what we have here. I'd definitely like to look into the intake, the throttle, exhaust manifold. We'll just start there. Intake is 3%. Throttle is 3%, bringing us up to 6. Exhaust manifold is 3, bringing us up to 9. So we could replace all of those real quick. And on top of that, I think we'll get new ignition coils. Kind of makes it look better as well. Ignition coils. And while we're doing that, might as well get the performance plugs in there as well. Don't think that. Oh, that did get up to 11. All right. So with that, we have inspect and replace filters at 133 credits. Car does not start at 180 credits. General running gear control and repair at 142 credits. Fix suspension clunks and rattles at 29 credits. Loud exhaust at 206 credits. Other task at 1,970 credits. Task bonus of 1,984 credits. Job bonus of 1,261 credits. and a total payout of 5,959 credits. So let's get that in there. And we'll get this on out of here. There we go. So with that, let's go ahead and check some more orders out here. Yeah, this one for 36 seconds, I believe it said there. And this one at 58, so take that one as well. Let's move this on in there. Now that looks like a Mustang 5.0 liter. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, that's the Mustang. And that has knocking noises from the engine bay. The filters need to be replaced. Knocking sound coming from suspension, sloppy car steering, and brakes need replacing. So right in front of us here we have the ABS module and the ABS pump that will both need to be replaced. So we'll get that new one put in. And we could also replace this exhaust manifold. As well as the fuel filter. Other manifold seems to be alright. Air filter and oil filter. That air filter out. Put in a new one. Rather not do that there. What is the minimal 75? So also rather not do that. That's a pretty high minimum. Looks like we will have to replace these clips after all, which isn't a big deal. I mean, they are repairable. But we also have an idle roller that's going to need to be replaced. And a belt. Let me see here. That should just go right off. Yeah. And that's for this one. Let's see if we have another one of those, which we don't. So have to order one. Put that in there. In there. Brake tensor should be okay. Get that idle roller in there. That's some of the issues on the top of the engine. Let's remove this cover real quick to check the fuel rails, and The ignition coils. Those all seem to be okay. Let's lift it up here. And we can get to that outer tie rod. Looks like that needed replacing. Looks like the drive shaft will as well. Oh, I'm thinking of a different engine design for some reason. That would be a lot smaller engine. This does not have independent drive axles on it, so it would not be that type of engine. We'll get that steering rack replaced. And looks like the caliper, as well as the rotor, is going to need to be replaced on this one as well. Brake pad should be good though. This one needs to replace the brake pads. And everything else should be good. And this needs to replace the brake pad as well. Sloppy car steering, knocking from suspension. Still there. Oh, the brake problems have been resolved. Let me check this axle. It does have independent rear axles on it though. Just not in the front. Well, we have that off. I did want to confirm that wheel bearing is okay. Which it does seem like it is. We do have the brake problems resolved, it looks like. And a rear end link needs replaced. Oh, take this off real quick. Get that end link off. Check out this wheel hub, as well as the axle. Both seem to be good. Put that back in there, get that tire back on. And scrape up to the front here. So we got the knocking sounds coming from the suspension resolved with that rear end link. And replace that oil filter here real quick and do an oil change while we're on it. Now what was going on here? Now when accelerating is going to be the exhaust. So we'll lift this one up real quick. Come back over here. Coming from the engine bay is persisting. So let's check out the compression test once we get the new oil in there. Figured I'd top those off since they looked a little low. Oh, guess we gotta put the covers back on before it'll let us. Camshaft. Looks like it's gonna need to be replaced. 4-1. My guess is 2, 3 are probably gonna be in the gearbox, so let me just check into that right now. Oh, clutch pressure plate, bearing seem to be good, as well as the flywheel and the clutch. Oh, that's how it checks out. Guess we're gonna have to drain that oil again to confirm the caps are alright. Caps do look good. Alright, let's get that camshaft replaced, and something tells me while we do that, we'll find out the rest of those problems. While we're getting that lowered, we could remove that muffler and get a new one in there. That should resolve this one. Oh, there's one more part of the exhaust. Looks like one of the exhaust manifold sides, so get that taken care of here in just one moment. Alright. With that, it looks like we have completed that one. So it was loud while accelerating. That's 165 credits. Task bonus of 27. Job bonus of 55. And total payout of 247 credits. So we'll go ahead and finish that. And let's continue getting this camshaft out of this engine. We got another viewer there, so I would like to welcome you to the channel. We're just doing a very comprehensive teardown of the engine. As with this type of engine, you have to tear down just about everything to get to the camshaft, which isn't an everyone, but some of them have it, some of them don't. It's always fun when you come across one. It does teach you a lot in regards to just the different parts that are in the assembly. This is actually a Mustang 5.0 liter GT. One of the biggest engines they made in that year for the Mustang. Nowadays, I believe they're up to 6.7 liter, well, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, so we got a timing chain shoe that needs replaced. I'm guessing one, if not both, of the timing chains might as well. So we'll check those out while we're here. Yeah, one of them does. Had one of those, thankfully. Put that back on. And these back on here. Or better yet, hold off on that. We need to take out that camshaft. And it looks like some of these caps are going to need to be replaced as well, which would be contributing to the knocking noise in the engine bay. get those replaced, right? Idle roller and serpentine belt. Just gotta put those back on and it should be good. Tell you what, let's make this process a little bit easier. Put these ignition coils in good condition into our warehouse. Alright, so with that, you did get that knocking noises from the engine bay at 1,512 credits. The filters need to be replaced at 124 credits. Knocking sound coming from suspension at 26 credits. Sloppy car steering at 847 credits. Brake system needs fixing at 1,905 credits. Task bonus at 3,072 credits. Job bonus at 1,872 credits. Total payout of 9,358 credits. So, with that, this engine needs oil. So we'll go ahead and put that in there since we apparently forgot to refill the oil after draining it for the second time. So, finish that. And we got a little bit of time left, so I'll go ahead and pick up another vehicle here. Take that Lunix. We recently pimped out this vehicle in one of my Pimp This Ride videos, so you might want to check that out on my YouTube videos there. And we'll give it a quick car wash and go ahead and vacuum it out. Take it over to the lift. And let's see what we got to do on this one. Filters need to be replaced, that being the air filter, fuel filter, and oil filter. And we got some body parts that need replaced. So let's get started with that air filter. 14B we do not have. Not that in there. Fuel filter. That out. And the oil filter. Gonna need to lift up the vehicle, so in the meantime, let's get that fuel filter back in there with a new one. We'll just go ahead and continue with those aftermarket fuel filters like we were doing before. And we'll get a spare or two of those as well for future use. And since we are going to replace that oil filter, we'll go ahead and give them a free oil change. I hate to replace the filters without changing the oil. With that, let's go ahead and get that refilled. And start replacing, well, repairing these body parts and replacing the other ones that need replaced. Got a front left door window, front right door window. And hood, left headlight, and left side mirror. Rear bumper and rear left door. So let's go ahead and try and repair those parts. See, there you have a New York license. Kind of thinking about keeping it on there to see what would happen when we finish the job. But, no, I ain't gonna do that. I'll make it New York, New York, you know? It's only right. So we got the filters need to be replaced at 135 credits, fixed body parts at 1,565 credits, task bonus of 260, job bonus of 816 credits, and total payout of 2,776 credits. So with that, instead of closing, we can click finish order, and that will finish that. So with that, if you just give me one moment here. With that, I would like to thank you for joining me for today's stream. You could join me again every Friday at 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. and on Twitch every Monday and Tuesday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. If you enjoyed watching this content, please feel free to like, and if you'd like to see more of this content, please feel free to click subscribe to be updated on all new videos released from my channel. And as always, thanks for watching and have a great